Welcome, Street Rats, to Night City. I'm the one and only Moxie 11, bringing you slightly biased news footage from the fourth wall. When we last saw Gojira, they had gotten the file from Blue's computer before the firefight broke out. Wraith managed to avoid most of it as he went to the car to get his gun, while Cammy and I made it out, with Cass sacrificing himself to take a handful of guys and help us escape. When I get outside, lightning strikes and there's a cold rain coming down, which starts to sizzle after a moment. Acid rain. Gotta love this city. Wraith tries to push through to get to Cass, but I tell him Cass is gone. He needs to help me get Cammy in the car. It takes some convincing, but eventually we're in the car, and I take an indirect path from the casino to Cammy's place. Wraith helps Cammy upstairs. I get the file from her once she's settled. Her mind is still out of it from the run, not quite sure what's going on just yet. However, my press to get the data earns me some choice words from Wraith about priorities. I say nothing, start looking at the data we got, realizing it'll take a couple hours to go through everything. My deadline with the eyes isn't much longer than that. After about an hour passes, Cammy's coherent enough to be told that we lost Cass on the mission. There's a long pause. She says she wants to give him a proper burial before crawling back to get bed and sobbing. In the apartment, Wraith makes a few calls. The first to Blue to tell him Sony is injured and the casino is burning. Blue says we are all, including Rex, to meet him tomorrow at the hovel, which Wraith agrees to do. Then he calls Rex to inform him of the meeting and to say Cass was flatlined during the mission. He also tells Rex to let Maelstrom know the Tiger Claws and Die Knife are fighting. Finally, Wraith calls Veronica and asks for a friend. She agrees to meet him. As he heads out, he talks to me in the hallway saying he's done with this. He can't do it anymore. I tell him to do what he needs. After all, what's one more person to leave me behind? While he's out talking to Veronica, I start decrypting the files, which are mostly financial records and emails. Most is useless, though I do find an email between Mark Coldsworth and Sony, where Sony gave Codsworth the deets about the glass he took credit for apprehending, in exchange for Codsworth to leave his casino alone. I also see funds going to a Watson government account in relation to goods that were lost on arrival. Seeing Rory's debt, I promptly remove it from the records before writing an article and submitting the evidence that Sony and Codsworth were working together for the detriment of Watson. I forward the information to the NCPD so Nomura can be arrested quickly. Wraith and Veronica talk at her place, where Wraith tells her everything that's happened since they last spoke, and is open and honest. Well, honest from his perspective. Veronica is impressed by this, and his bravery. They talk more about what he should do moving forward, but there's too much grief surrounding him to make a decision right now. A few hours after I get the article out, people are enraged and calling for Codsworth to be removed from office immediately. Timothy Bridgeforth, the city alderman, spends time negotiating with the NCPD until an agreement is reached and they end the strike, bust up Nomura's ring, shut down the casino, and put Codsworth in cuffs. The bodies found at the casino are taken to the local morgue to be identified by friends and family. I text the eyes to tell him the job is done, and he informs me that Blue wants to meet us tomorrow. When Wraith gets back to the apartment, we chat a bit with Cammy, the job finally done, but are interrupted by Rex, who tells us there's no time to talk before the meeting and to get to the hovel now. When we arrive, there are bikes outside in the same sports car we had seen earlier. Inside are Tiger Claw members, Blue, Scales in his yellow suit, the female wearing a white pinstripe blazer, halter top, and red miniskirt. Seated in front of the Tiger Claws are Rex, Kuniko, and Frank. As we approach, we all bow to Blue before sitting. He thanks us for exposing his enemy and puts down 4 cred sticks to show that appreciation. Then he asks us about the disrespect, but in the end simply warns us never to get in his way again. This being about Rory. However, the last bit of business he has with us is about a life we took. One of his men was looking into Yoshino's disappearance. Wraith says the blame is his, but doesn't give the deets. As Blue is about to behead Rex, I tell him his man died that day because he shot first, killing a friend of ours, Hal. The others agree, and Wraith convinces Blue that Hal was important to us. In the end, it seems it was life for life, and Rex is spared. Blue declares Kabuki Tiger Claw territory before taking his leave. I give my credit stick to Frank to fix the damage to his bar. Then we take Cammy to the morgue where she identifies Cass. A few days later, she holds a pomona for him. Killjoy, Rex, Kaze, Pons, Some unknown woman and some guy wearing a long army coat all attend. We learn the woman was Cass's karate instructor. Once that all gets settled, we head to the landfill where Cammy burns the rest of Cass's things. It's what her mom did for her uncle. Apparently it's so Cass won't become a vengeful spirit. She calls me the sister she never had, and the three of us retire to her place. To watch the story unfold live, tune into Saves vs. Death every Saturday at 10 PM Eastern at twitch.tv/Saves vs. Death. If you can't watch us live, be sure to subscribe to the Saves vs. Death channel on YouTube so you can watch it as soon as the recording is released. Or you can always download it as a podcast. Stay safe, Cyberpunks. This has been your Night City recap with Moxie 11.